Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this third broadcast of CirculariTV. Now, thank you so much for joining us in this session as we will talk about how we can make circularity and a circular economy more attractive for a wider audience by using entertainment as a trigger for change. We will discuss this through the use of the documentary A Future-Proof Present, which premiered in 2019, just before COVID. And we have an amazing lineup of speakers to join me as we have this discussion. Maybe I can start with our video connection live from Brazil, because I am joined first off by Mr. Sylvio Rocha, who is the producer of the documentary. Sylvio, so nice to have you here with us.
Hello.
Yes, hey, good to see you. And we are joined as well by Beatriz, who is the founder of Exchange for Change Brazil and also stars in the film. Beatriz, so nice to have you here with us as well. Amazing. I see that you have a beautiful...
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, and a beautiful scenery behind you. I'm actually quite jealous of the good weather I'm spotting over there in Brazil. Joining me in the studio as well, and somebody who's also a movie star in this documentary, is Guido Braam. Guido, you are the founder of the Dutch organization Powered by Meaning that wants to stimulate entrepreneurs actually in finding their way in running circular businesses. So nice to have you here with us as well.
Great to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for everyone being here. Now, to our viewers, I want to say, if you want to join in on this conversation, please do so. You can use the hashtags WCEF+Climate, CirculariTV, or keep CE drumbeat going. And make sure to tag us in your posts online on Twitter by tagging us via @WCEF+Climate. Now, with that being said, I think most of you might be curious about that documentary I mentioned in the beginning. But before we see a snippet of that, I want to turn to you, Sylvio, because maybe you can give our audience a short introduction about what the documentary is about.
Yes, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Well, the documentary outlined clearly the dramatic outcome that 100 years of linear economy has brought to the planet, putting at risk life as we know today. The idea was to introduce into the documentary the concepts of circular economy as a new economic model, opening new possibilities and presenting a chance to change those old behaviors that brought us here. So that was the core of the documentary.
Yeah, interesting. And as you said, 100 years of a linear economy. We have a short snippet from the documentary to give you a gist of what it is about.
Hoje, a humanidade já está consumindo 70% a mais do que a Terra é capaz de renovar.
Esse sistema, evidentemente, é um sistema suicida. Quando você chega numa escala como a atual, ele é absolutamente catastrófico.
Um novo modelo econômico propõe mudanças que podem resolver muitos de nossos grandes problemas atuais. Uma transformação que vem de dentro do próprio sistema.
Gradativamente as pessoas começam a se ocupar, a saber habitar um novo tempo, onde as pessoas têm que se deparar com uma nova ética de uma responsabilidade frente às suas escolhas.
For me, circular economy is almost like a system innovation. It's another way of producing, it's another way of consuming, another way of dealing with waste. It's actually another design.
Uma economia circular não gera resíduo, porque ela já é pensada desde o início do desenvolvimento do produto a não ter aquele material que não tem valor. É uma nova forma de você produzir, consumir e se relacionar.
Well, I think that's already such an inspiring collection of stories that we saw in there. And maybe, Sylvia, I can start by asking you, this is the first documentary on circular economy in Latin America. How did you come up with the idea, and also the comparison that you're making between Brazil and the Netherlands? How did that come about?
Well, it all started because waste is a serious matter in Brazil. And initially I thought that, producing a documentary focused on that problem would be okay. Then I had a chance to meet Beatriz, and then I understood a little bit more about circular economy, and it made much more sense to me to produce a documentary presenting this new economic model that simply eliminates waste. I love to bring a wake-up call, but I also love to indicate ways to address the problem. And circular economy certainly does that. And Netherlands, have all to teach us and to guide us through this journey.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And maybe when we're talking about countries, if I go to you, Beatriz, you have been working on circular economy in Brazil since 2015. I think it's safe to call you a circular pioneer. What is the situation like regarding circularity in Brazil?
Yes, I think I truly believe on knowledge exchange. So I think this interaction between the Netherlands is very inspirational and necessary. All these energetic examples and hands-on approach bring us inspiration and can bring inspiration everywhere in the world. So I think despite the cultural differences, the country characteristics, Brazil is 200 times bigger than the Netherlands. At the end of the day, people, industry, and governments are the same in every country. So we can definitely learn from the Netherlands, and everything that triggers the industry in the Netherlands will trigger the industry in Brazil. So the documentary is a very important tool for that.
Yeah, and we have somebody who is more than familiar with the situation of that in the Netherlands, Guido. You are one of the leading circular experts, I could say, in the Netherlands. You've helped many enterprises and held many campaigns towards circularity. Do you see a rising or a trend or a declining trend when it comes to organizations that want to become more circular?
Oh, for sure. I mean, exactly today, 5 years ago, we handed over a vision document to a prime minister in the Netherlands. And Beatriz was there, and we made a lot of international friends, thanks to the incoming trade mission, 140 people from 20 countries. There's still a strong network in Holland Circular Hotspot. Yeah. And since then, we moved from piloting to really mainstream. And I think there are so many organizations in the Netherlands that now invest in the circular economy. And you also see that there are a lot of tenders, especially in the construction sector, are now dropping at least the word circular economy. So there is a real necessity also for companies to invest in this and to do a lot of research on it.
Yeah.
And well, it's on the rise.
Yeah, that's good to see. And maybe Beatriz, do you see a rise in Brazil as well, or is it different over there?
Yeah, I think there is a global movement seeing that business as usual cannot go on anymore, and circular economy is about new values, new attitudes, new behavior, and this is very much related to people. And Guido has always been an inspiration. I remember when I talked with the Dutch consulate in Rio, and he also introduced me to Freek van Eyck, and he said, if you want to do circular economy between the Netherlands and Brazil, you two should talk. And I think we have been doing a very good work on that. So yes, definitely, it's a time to change, time to action.
Yeah, that's such a nice story indeed. And we actually have a short fragment as well to see more about that link between the Netherlands and Brazil when it comes to circularity.
Clothes from the kids that are too small, I give it away to somebody else. I never throw clothes away. We give all the things we have a second life, if it's possible. And otherwise too, we get stuff from people. You have to change your life and your vision to not buy so much anymore. And be happy with other things, with being together. That can make you happy too.
Waar hoort de papier?
Nou, hier hè, papier. In mostly every city, every village, they separate the garbage. So I think you learn it when you grow up. Since I was a kid, that bring the bottles from cola and things like that, we bring them back to the shop. You pay some extra and you bring them back and you get the money back.
Eu tenho 2 filhas, né, e não dava pra mim sustentar, pagar minhas contas, sabe? E era muito pouco pra mim. Então, e também conforme isso aí, eu ia pro meu serviço de bicicleta, né? E eu via sempre os meninos catando essas coisas aí. Aí eu via eles pegando um aquecedor grandão, sabe? Que ele tem cobre por dentro dele. Aí eu vi eles pegando, eles abrindo aqui, né? E conforme, aí deu um bom dinheirinho, sabe, cara? Eu falei, caramba, mano, eu trabalhando de empregado, cara. Eu vou ganhando R$25 por dia, mano. Puta, velho, eu falei, caramba, velho. Eu falei, eu vou tentar a sorte, né? Aí peguei um carrinho desse aí e saí pra rua. Aí primeiro dia eu fiz 20, então eu falei, é assim, né? Aí o segundo já fiz 30, aí o terceiro eu já fiz 150, cara. Eu falei, nossa, que benção, hein? Eu falei, maravilha. Agora eu vou continuar essa daí, né? E tô até hoje, tô 8 anos ela aí, entendeu?
Yes, that indeed shows an interesting insight into the situation in both countries. But I was really curious when I saw this as well. Sometimes I feel like, in the Netherlands, whether that's in the Netherlands or in Brazil, I feel like around the world we are seeing this sort of trend of overconsumption. Everybody wants to have the newest iPad, the newest iPhone, newest style outfits. How does that come back in the documentary? Was that something you took into consideration as well, Sylvio, that even here in the Netherlands we are very much over-consuming?
Absolutely. We are, guided by the same companies globally. So, the same message that reaches you in the Netherlands reaches in Brazil in some moment. So it's a global type of effect that we have to try to tackle in the documentary and show ways to ease the pace of that consumption.
Yeah, definitely. Really interesting. And I heard that the documentary actually aired on television last week. Was it difficult to get it on the agenda, Circularity?
Well, it's really different, the approach we made on that theme. My goal was, in the end of the day, to produce an entertainment product with meaningful content. So, as an entertainment product, using a Brazilian pop singer as the narrator, you may not know, but the narrator is a very well-known people in Brazil, a very activist in terms of fighting for climate change. It was a good strategy that we now can reach a much broader audience with that guy on board, and it's happening. People are seeing the documentary and saying, "Hey, did you watch the Leninis documentary?" Leninis is the name of the pop singer, it's okay, it's fine. Maybe that guy would never watch a circular economy documentary, but if it's a Lenini documentary, they will. So it's a good strategy to broader and to spread the gospel.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting, and I find that so fascinating because most people have probably seen An Inconvenient Truth, The Life on a Planet by David Attenborough, I Am Great. There's so many documentaries about what you said. Do you think that documentaries like these are supposed to play a big role in mobilizing people to live more circular? Maybe I can ask you, Beatriz?
Yes, definitely. I think a well-produced documentary with carefully selected cases, a storyline, inspirational leaders and impactful images and soundtrack can really get people to reflect about their attitudes, their behaviors. I think it's a different way to present the message and bring people closer to the problem, but also closer to the solution. And I think documentaries like that and debates like that, forums that can bring together that type of tools, but also the leaders and the solution can really be a powerful combination.
Yeah, thank you so much. And maybe Guido, do you want to add anything to that?
I fully agree. Especially when it's done in such of a high quality, as we've now seen in this documentary of Sylvio and Beatriz, then it can be very impactful. In the Netherlands, we saw that a documentary from Backlight, Tegenlicht, was very influential 10 years ago from Waste Equals Food. And also they had a documentary on building with wood last year. It can really trigger an entire sector. And you see that also in this documentary. It can reach out to a large audience once the quality is there and there's done a lot of thorough research.
Yeah, that's a good one. And maybe do you think that we can also we need to use other platforms as well, such as social media, or do you think that documentaries are, a more succinct way to thoroughly show?
Of course it's a mix, but what you see on social media and YouTube, you see a lot of promo videos where we explain new business models of circularity, and they can be inspiring. But if you have really a storyline with a documentary, then it can be very insightful for a larger audience. And what I liked about this documentary is that it taps into what happens in your own in your own family, and it's also fun to see, of course, the view of the view of an outsider to the Netherlands, because we can be quite critical about what we achieve here in circularity. But then it's good sometimes to see that we also do some things right here.
Yeah, that we do some things right. Indeed, sort of a pat on the shoulder for us as well. And it's, as you said, sometimes it's also good to see, what's going very well in those terms. I want to thank every one of you. I would have loved to go on with this discussion a little longer, but we're a bit short on time. Thank you so much for all your inspirational stories. And I have something nice because, Sylvio, I have heard from rumors that you have a nice announcement for our audience. Could you tell them what it is?
Yeah, sure. Everyone that is joining us today can watch the full documentary, just, checking the chat box, and you'll find out, the link and the password to get the 78-minute full documentary. And please, I hope you enjoyed it as we enjoyed, producing it.
Yeah, thank you so much. To our viewers, you can find the link to the documentary in the chat box, so make sure to check that out. What else is there better to do after this two-day conference than learn more about circularity? And maybe very shortly, for one final last question, I want to turn to you, Beatriz, because to our audience, do you have a message to them in terms of what they can do for circularity, so whether they live in the Netherlands or in Brazil?
Yeah, sure. I think the future, as we always talked about, is here now with all the technological developments, but also with the problems, the environmental and social impacts. So to everyone, don't be afraid of being a transformation agent. Nobody knows where to go. Circular economy is not about fixing problems. It's about redesigning the system. And anybody, anywhere, any industry can do that. So be a leader, be open for a new world ahead of us, and bring others with you.
Thank you so much. Those are inspirational words to end on. Redesign the system. Thank you so much for being here with us at this session of CircularTV. Make sure to join us for the other sessions, and then we hope to see you there.